Hey, Paul here for Retro Gaming Arts, and so I beat Resident Evil 3 for the first time. Never played it before on live stream, and we played it on the Dreamcast in VGA, and I don't even have that game. It was Aldo, so thank you, Aldo, for bringing it over so we could play it.
Absolutely, welcome.
And so these videos, I always say like, okay, I beat the game, this is what I think about it, and then I put all of the links in the description for the stream in case anybody wants to go and watch. And then, man, dude, Nemesis was rough.
Yeah, so I guess what I wanted to do is I just wanted to ask you a few questions. Obviously, with the live streams, we started off with Resident Evil 1, 2, and then 3. So 3, to a lot of people, is their favorite game. To a lot of other people, it's not. It's kind of like lost in the shuffle a little bit. So what were your thoughts going from 1 and 2, which are kind of similar in gameplay mechanics? You know, I mean, there's different environments and whatnot. 3 changes a lot of things around in terms of controls. Just there's a dodge mechanic. There's kind of like quick time events, kind of things like that, and obviously the man of the hour, Nemesis. So how did that all come about? How did you take to it initially?
So it was really, really cool to see the progression from 1 and 2 to 3. Seeing the progression from 1 to 2 was cool.
Yeah.
And then from 3, it was really, really nice, and I thought I was going to really enjoy it so much because it was definitely the most polished of the first 3 in every way. There was so much more detail to the environment, so much more detail to like the character models and everything like that. And then also like the enemy zombies, they were faster.
Everything's faster.
Everything was faster. So it was really cool to see the progression, but then just that whole concept of like, conceptually, all right, so when you're Claire or Scenario B in Resident Evil 2, you have Mr. X following you.
Which is really cool, yeah.
So cool, so scary, because you got this giant dude that can just take you out, but like, Mr. X wasn't as ruthless as Nemesis.
To say the least, yeah.
Ridiculous.
So Nemesis, from the first time, he just follows you throughout the whole game.
Whole game.
So it's either the flight or fight response, right? You either try to kill him, hopefully he'll leave you alone for a few, or run and he'll follow you throughout the rest of the game. Like, so it's. I think that was what really threw you for a loop, because you were expecting maybe Mr. X.
Yeah, kind of Mr.
2.0.
Yeah.
Which is cool, but Nemesis is not that. He. Like, this dude runs like a linebacker. He's got a damn bazooka in his arm.
He sprints after you and he can pick you up with one hand, poison you with the other.
So it was interesting to see in the live stream, Paul really had a lot of trouble adapting to what Nemesis was and how to either avoid him or try to fight, right? So I think anybody could say, unless you're an expert in the game, Nemesis is hard. Like, there is no easy way to put it. You need a ton of ammo to bring him down. You need to have your dodge mechanic mastered. And again, this was his first time, so that first go, Nemesis was just destroying you. And it's interesting to see in the live stream that Paul was even getting a little bit visibly frustrated.
I was so frustrated.
Which wasn't happening with the other games. When he was dying, like say a hunter killed him, or say a boss killed him, he was like, okay, I wasn't prepared for that. Let me change it up. And then boom. Now, with Nemesis, you can't change it up because he just... Like, you shoot him, he's like, all right, whatever.
You go through the door and he's just there and he just backhands you.
So Paul wasn't prepared for that. And I think that's a lot of thing that throws people off with Resident Evil 3. A lot of people like that intensity. But I kind of agree with you. It's great conceptually. But I think it was limited by, like, the tank controls. And that, the tank control scheme does not lend itself to... Because everyone's faster. You are marginally faster, but... You're still moving in this very limited grid-like way.
You do have, and like the counter argument for that would be you do have the dodge and then quick turn, but those things aren't enough for Nemesis. Mm-hmm. They're really not. I mean, you can master that dodge, but it's not as intuitive as you may think, because that timing is a split second. Where like there's multiple times where I'm like, I just dodged, but you don't dodge. And there's other times where I tried to shoot, but I shot too late and I dodged.
Yeah, so like in most games, like a dodge would usually be a dedicated button that you can just dodge at all times. or
If it was that, the game would have been fine.
Think of it like Street Fighters, like parry. So you have to do it right at the instant before you get attacked, and that's when you.
That's exactly what the dodge was in there.
It's very finicky. It's tough, but again, so what did you think of Nemesis? He was cool in the beginning. I think by the end of the game, Paul was like, "I'm totally done with it. Like I hate you, Nemesis," which you would say a lot on the stream, right? But
I hate you, Nemesis.
Okay, so Nemesis was a real big hurdle. Outside of that, what did you think of the environments? What did you think of?
Oh, like I said, like it was in my opinion, it was the most polished of the three.
Or like even you're going back to locations that you saw in Resident Evil 2, but from maybe a different perspective,
and then
right?
like also at the end, you enter a room and then you get to see all this stuff from Resident Evil 2. Like you see Mr. X, you see a bazooka or the rocket launcher. You
and
see
the old tyrants from Resident Evil 1.
Tyrants, like that was really 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 cool. And it also is really cool about how like like all the like from Resident Evil 2, like all the same stuff was there. Like you got the police station there, but you're in the city streets, and then I don't know. It was
that was cool.
The whole game was cool except for Nemesis.
Yeah, and well, not just that. It's the I think compared to the first two games, your item management is so much more because yes, you can make your own ammo, but if you're going to attempt to fight Nemesis, that's all going away.
I did find that this game gave you a lot more ammo, but that's probably because of Nemesis. Like there was a point for like 8 hours where I had no ink ribbons.
Oh yeah, well that too, yeah. So I think more so than any other games, you really need to know when to save strategically.
But after that 8 hours, so that was I was at around my 8th or 9th save. And it's funny, one of the guys on the chat was like, 20 saves.
Yeah, it's
he's
like
a speed runner. He was like, saves.
And I think what happened too is the layout of the city, even though the map is more improved than compared to 1 and 2, there's so many winding streets that are not straight. It's not like a grid. So I think because of the twists and turns everywhere, that really got you lost. Like you said, there was that one moment where
I get lost in every Resident Evil though. I can't.
But I'd say more so than the other two games. 3 really lost him for a while, and there was that moment, that one stream we did where there's like not a lot of progress was made because he was 1 lost on where to go, 2 didn't have saves, so he didn't have like an ideal loadout. It was tough, right? So that's why 3 it's a very hard game. And also going back,
hardest one I've played so far.
Going back to the very title of the game, there is no normal mode. There's an easy mode.
And not hard. Yeah, what's with that? I like to play everything default, normal.
And which would be hard
no
in
cheats.
turn, but it's just so much harder, right? So, I mean, kudos to you for actually beating it on the difficulty. Most people would probably start off with easy and then progress to hard.
I will tell you, out of all the ones, so the whole purpose is to play all of them. I want to get all the way to 7, play them all. And so my main focus is beating 1, then going to the next. I will say, out of 1, 2, and 3, the one I want to replay the most is 3, so I can kill Nemesis.
Yeah, so
I want to master that game just to be able to I want to fight him every time, and I want to beat him every time, and I want to get every drop, and I want to see what kind of gun I get from his drops, and it makes me want to replay it for that. For 2. I don't really. I guess the only reason I would ever want to replay 2 is like way after I beat all of them. If I like kind of like
just get it from like a nostalgic perspective.
The stories are so like intertwined and crazy that I can't quite remember like what happens.
So what about the story in 3? So that's cool because
a lot of stuff gets revealed.
3 part of the game takes place before Resident Evil 2, and then the other part of the game takes place after. And obviously, if you saw the stream, Paul was mind blown, but you did not see that coming.
It's so weird. The way it ends is like you should see that coming because that makes the most logical sense, but I didn't think that they would do it at the end of 3.
But they did it.
But they did it.
And it's a big moment. I mean, I don't want to give any specifics, right? But you would kind of, for a lot of people who maybe didn't play this initially, they missed out on that big moment. You know, and it's referenced in future games because it's a big changing like milestone or a changing turn, you know, in the story. So that was cool.
It was so cool. Like that was.
So how was it? Okay, so another quick thing I want to talk about. this is obviously we're playing on Dreamcast. So the other games you're playing on PlayStation. So how was it going from PlayStation, which you're comfortable with, to Dreamcast?
So when I'll just use this as a great example. I think it's a good example. When I use a keyboard, like a mouse and keyboard, I have no idea where any of the keys are. But it's all just muscle memory, and I know exactly where everything is. But if I had to tell you like what's on, I could tell you like WASD is on the left top somewhere. But like I can't tell you what key is where. Like J, I have no idea. I think it's in the middle somewhere. Z, it could be out all the way on the left or the right. I have no idea. But like that's the way I am with everything, is especially controllers. So for when we play like Street Fighter I use a PlayStation controller over a fight stick. For me, if like those buttons got switched, I wouldn't be able to be like, oh, okay, now somebody changed, R2 is now punch instead of kick. Like that would never be able to be switched. I would never be able to, like, even if I knew it, if somebody was telling me all the time, I would never be able to hit R2 to punch because it's always been kick. So...
And that change from PlayStation to Dreamcast, it took him a while to
really long
grasp run is here as opposed to here.
All it was just run and action were switched on the Dreamcast.
But that threw you off, like big
so
time.
hard off. Now that I got used to it on Dreamcast, when I go back to PlayStation, it's going to throw me up.
Yeah. So
but
visually, it was a really good looking game. Obviously, like I said, you're playing it on the Akura. So there was that initial hump. So overall, I guess, now that you've beat it, you've had a few days to maybe stew it over and think about it. How does it rank currently with the other two games?
Hardest, definitely.
Would it be safe to say that, again, not to put it in too much of a negative light, but is it currently your least favorite?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
I don't really know which one I like the most, because I kind of like certain things about each one.
It challenged you the most.
Oh, by far.
By far, right?
So in one, I was lost the whole game. I could not grasp the layout of the mansion whatsoever. This one was very similar to that, but I felt like about halfway through, for like at some point, I just stopped and just focused on the map, and then just like kind of like piece by piece sort of figured it out, and then I had a good general understanding of the map for the rest of the game. And I feel I did the same thing in 2 as Leon, but getting thrown back into the same area, but just in different locations as Claire kind of threw me off a little bit, because it was the same thing, just backwards, but not fully backwards, so to speak. So I was like, oh great, I just remembered it going like pretty much in a line. Now I have to do that line backwards, and like kind of, it was like reciting the alphabet backwards, playing as Claire for me, which was moderately difficult, but it was still like, that was like a nice little challenge to it. I don't know why I couldn't grasp the mansion of 1. I want to play 1 again as well.
So good.
So I can grasp the layout of the mansion.
But, and again, it's just, repeat playthroughs, you understand. Now, this was also interesting, too, because, as you mentioned, you do live stream this every Tuesday. So, with the other 2 games, I've kind of nudged you in the right direction in most cases. 3, I didn't do it as much because 3...
But the chat did.
But the chat did, yeah. So it was kind of
the chat
flipped.
was there.
Where in other games, I was able to be like, okay, Paul, maybe you're lost. This is kind of where you need to go. In 3, not so much. My input was limited. Outside of like broad strokes, but thankfully people in the chat...
The chat knew
you
this
guys
game.
In the chat were awesome. You guys have played this game to death, so you know all of... the right decisions to make, the right loadout
to a T. It wasn't even like...
Yeah, and had we not, or had Paul not had that information, the game would have lasted extraneously
probably
longer.
Still be streaming for another like month or so.
Yeah.
Certain people were just like, take the lockpick. Like, just stop, just take it. Just take it, you need it.
Whereas I would maybe
like,
do that in Resident Evil 1 or 2. Now
to save
3,
like me from going all the way there, getting to the door, figuring out, oh, you need a lockpick, and then having to go all the way back. Kind of just being like, take it, learn from.
So in that regard, big shout out to the chat. You guys who watched the live stream are awesome. Probably could not have made it without you. So thank you all for that. But so Resident Evil 3 is an interesting experience for you.
So there's always like an it factor, like an X factor to each game so far. For 2, it was the fact that Same time, 2 different perspectives from Claire and Leon, which was honestly, out of all 3 of the things so far, like that one to me is the coolest.
Really cool, yeah.
Nemesis is also a really cool concept, but I kind of got a little bit of that in Resident Evil 2 with Mr. X. And Mr. X, for some reason, he was much less in your face, which actually made me more scared of him. As opposed to Nemesis, where Nemesis, I wasn't really scared of him. I was just sort of frustrated by him because I'm like, great, I'm gonna open a door and he's gonna be there and kill me. Like, that's not as scary as Mr. X just like coming at you.
Creepily
just
stalking
like,
you, yeah.
Yeah, like Mr. X
at key moments, whereas Nemesis, anywhere.
Just anywhere.
Like
you never
the instant
know.
you step out of a save room, he's right there.
He's right there, like,
Very frustrating, yeah. So it's an interesting experience. It's different. So, I mean, at least you beat it. So, I mean, there's that. You know,
yeah,
now you can quell that. But yeah, it was an interesting experience to see him play Resident Evil 3. Probably the last game on the Dreamcast. We're going to be moving on to PlayStation. So, Code Veronica is next. It'll be interesting to see how he does that, because that's difficult in a whole different manner. But yeah, so I mean, I guess maybe some closing thoughts on Resident Evil 3, like overall, yay, nay?
Oh, yay, of course.
Yay?
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna get a yay.
But Nemesis is a bully, though, right?
Nemesis is a bully.
Like, he's the guy that...
He's a bully.
You don't like him.
Like, I want to Hey, that game made me want to replay it the most. Because I want to replay it on easy.
But just to destroy him, yeah.
And I want to learn everything about him, and I just want to murder him back. I want to get him back. As opposed to, like, I don't really want to replay 2 too badly. Because
there was, like, finality to it, right? Like, it was like closure. Like, okay, I did it all. I did it all pretty well. Yeah. And I could revisit it maybe in a couple years down the road.
When I forget, like, kind of what happens, or like when I lose it a little
But
bit.
3, it's more like the frustration, the pent-up frustration.
It's revenge.
Yeah, it's revenge. So he has it for a different motive altogether. So that's interesting, you know, because some people do feel that with Nemesis. I mean, me, what I did is I played it, got stopped, I got through it, and then next time I played it with Game Shark. Infinite health, infinite ammo. Screw you, Nemesis. Boom. You know, went to town. But again, yeah, I kind of, I could feel that. We're like, okay, he pissed you off, and like, it's unfair to a point, right? It would have been this. I think more so than any of the Resident Evil games. You know, there have been remasters and remakes. It'd be interesting to see if they've made this in a modern day shell.
Oh my god!
You know, with modern controls, where then okay, you have a chance. Whereas the way it's limited with the tank controls, it just exponentially makes it more difficult than it should be.
So people want a Resident Evil 2 remake,
which is supposedly happening.
I'm sure a big reason why people want that is because Resident Evil 2 probably blew their minds. It still blew my mind. Just the fact of, like I said, like it's 2 people same time. That's so cool. But for more practical, I think a better game that would serve more of a remake, because if you go back and play Resident Evil 2, and that game's kind of, I could play that one again. I don't like need to because of the whole thing we're doing, but if I wanted to, I could play that and it would be a perfect experience. The game's pretty solid.
It's held up well over time.
Yeah, there's nothing really wrong with it. This game, I feel, not saying there's something wrong with it, but I think if you actually could run around Nemesis. Like run around
it's more an instance of, okay, it's difficult, but the controls are not helping me any. You know, that type of thing. Like, if the controls were tightened, if it was like from a third-person perspective, maybe it'd be easier to dodge Nemesis or the other enemy.
I think it would do better from a remake, and I think that a lot of people may have not have played this one as much as 2 or
because
1
of that difficulty
or 4.
gap. Yeah. A lot of people maybe gave up on it when it came out. Rightfully so. I mean, it's not for beginners. It is a beast of a game, but you did it. So congratulations for that. You know, again, some people, lesser people would have quit or gave up. So
not my style.
Not his style. For those of you who watch live stream, you know that's not how he does it. But yeah, cool. Anything else you want to add, or? Oh, he's got a little prop.
I feel I finally deserved the little Nemesis statue that Paige gave me.
Yeah, shout out to Paige. She gave that to him. Again, funny story. When he first got it, he was like, oh, this is awesome.
This is awesome.
Nemesis is great. And then the game happened, and then
then I hated it.
I hate you, Nemesis. I hate you, Nemesis.
But now I feel like I've earned it. This is my little Resident Evil 3 trophy.
Cool. No, for sure. You deserved it. But yeah, that really cool experience.
It's tough.
And thank you again for everyone on the live stream. Couldn't have done it without you. You guys have been awesome. Please help us with the next game too, because we're probably gonna need it.
Code Veronica.
Code Veronica is no walk in the park. But
so, thank you guys all for watching the live streams. Thank you for watching all the regular videos. Live stream will be in the comments here. There's a lot of breakups in the video because when we first started it was very frustrating and I was having computer issues, so there's going to be a lot of them, but eventually they'll get good. And thank you guys very much, and we'll see you on the next live stream.
Thank you guys.